there's tiny houses out there, and there's a lot of cool ideas. And I talked about the internet and social media and the things that are being done out there. Some of this stuff is quirky. A bed that morphs into a desk, into a stinking trampoline, or a swimming pool. I mean, that kind of stuff is crazy. I think I found that if you've got to move your furniture around, in order to eat, and you've got to reposition your living room, to sleep. I mean, for me, that don't make no sense. It's like, wait a minute, I don't want to go through all those steps. I don't want stuff that has to fold, tip, trip, put buttons or pins in to make it work. I think in general, people want what they have, in their apartment or at home. They want that same feel. They want to be able to climb into their bed and go to sleep. My pillow's there, my blankets are there. Open up a cabinet, and there's, my dishes, my silverware. There's my refrigerator. Open it up, all my stuff is there. Anyway. Yeah, we need simple. It's simple, and I guess really what I'm accustomed to. That's for me. That's what I think a tiny house needs to have. First off, it's figuring out how much space you need. And a lot of times that's dictated, by where you're going to put your tiny house. If you only have 22 feet of space to park it, you got to keep in mind you got about 4 feet that's your hitch. So really, in that case, you've got 18 feet of box. Can I transport it? Can I get it to the site? If it's 30 feet long, I've got a bunch of switchbacks that I've got to go through to get there. So you got to kind of determine what that footprint is, whether it's actually 18 feet of box or it's 30 feet of box with 4 foot hitch. A lot of times, if it's price that's going to dictate that. People want to go, small and tight and, keep everything within a budget. So first off, figure out what you're going to need. I mean, in terms of space, and then how many inhabitants will there be in the house? I mean, if it was just one person, maybe even 16 feet will work for you. But if you got more than that, you probably need to think a little differently about that size. Whether you want main level living, is everything going to be just on that main floor, and you won't have lofts? Or maybe you have lofts and they're just for storage. Or if you do have a loft and it's going to be as a sleeping area, it's got to be big enough to put your sleeping stuff in there, and not just a mattress, because you have other things, whether it's a night table, a light, some place to put your clothes. I mean, you really got to think it through. So, there's a lot of components to go into place, whether it's a single loft, dual loft, the length of the unit, what your limitations are in each of those, whether it's height or length. In terms of width, a typical tiny house it has to be within 8.5 feet to be considered a travel trailer that will be allowed, let's say, in an RV park. So it's you got to figure those pieces out. How do you make it you? Do you make it you from design, or do you make it you with decor? What is that? What is it for you? I mean, the fact that, you've taken this rectangle and you've put into this rectangle the things that you feel that you need to live and that accomplish those elements for you, and a sense of satisfaction that, hey, this is mine. I made this, specific to me, and this is where I'm going to put, whatever it might be. This is where Fifi's going to sleep in the corner. I don't know. But, it's stuff like that. And really truly feel what that space is going to be, whether it's, putting a bunch of cardboard boxes out in your backyard, or, framing out a chalk line on your driveway. This is it. And this is where my couch is going to go, my bathtub, my bed, my chairs, my table, stairs, whatever it might be. A lot of times I talk to people that have never walked into a tiny house. So I would recommend this. Walk into a tiny house, get a true feel of the space, and then you can really start your journey. There's that techie that cool factor part of tiny house design. And then there's reality. And sometimes they can mesh very well, and other times it's just, I don't know. I mean, go back to think about how you live and what's going to be important to you in terms of once I move in this, or people come over, or I go to bed, or I open up my refrigerator, or use the bathroom. I mean, everyone that's looking at doing tiny and doing their own design needs to think about that picture as you go down the road, not just right now, not just because the last social media post you saw, with that transformer mentality. It's like, hey guys, think about what's going to take to make that happen. I talk to people all the time that have, wow, Lou, I just saw this, or I just saw that, or hey, can we do all this? And it's like, okay, we can do a lot of this stuff. I think you need to kind of stop, take a breath, and think about what it is you want. What it is that's important to you and the way you live, not just that way cool factor that you just saw in the last post. We talk to people and they get really excited about stuff and they sleep on it and they think about it, they digest it, and they come back and say, hey, you know what? I really don't want to do that. This is what I need. I don't know. I guess in its truest, simplest form, it's think it through, make sure it's right for you and this is really what you want. Because sometimes you build stuff into a tiny house, it ain't a coming out. You can't change it very easily. So make sure it's really going to fit you. Just because you saw it or somebody else tells you this is how your tiny house should be, think the doggone thing through and make sure it fits your needs, your budget, and you're going to be happy with it.